My WordPress site says it is not secured at the top. How do I make it secured? Is this something through the website or the domain? If you already covered this in an episode, which one? If not, maybe it's an idea to cover. Thanks, CJ. Here's our first question of the week for Ask a Web Geek. Are you ready? It comes to us by Kim. And Kim says, "Hi CJ, I hope you're well. I have a question for the Web Geek. You may have already covered this." Not really, so glad you asked, Kim. My WordPress site says it is not secured at the top. How do I make it secured? Is this something through the website or the domain? If you already covered this in an episode, which one? If not, maybe it's an idea to cover. Thanks, CJ. Kim, that's a fantastic question. That's like the perfect kind of question for us. I'm so glad you asked this. This is a big deal these days, and I want to tell you what she's talking about. So let's take a field trip, first of all, over to a website where I can show you that that's actually happening. So bear with me as I switch my screens. What do I need? I need my browser window. Let's jump over to my browser. All right, so let's do the large version first, okay? And then I need to find it on my side. The Web Geek is playing with Windows. Okay, so here, you can see my cursor now? Good. Okay, so here on the Ask a Web Geek website at askawebgeek.com, I'm using the Chrome browser. And do you see right here next to the web address, there's a little teeny lock? This lock lets you know that my website is secure. Now, this is something that, in the last 20 years, it was only really important if you were accepting someone's private information or their credit card information. Let me say that again. This little piece of your website, having a secured website, was really only important on an order page where we were accepting someone's credit card or a place where they're submitting sensitive information like their login details, that kind of a thing. That's typically where we used this kind of a secure site before. And if you just had an information only site, you really didn't need it. That has changed over the last year as Google has made it much more obvious when a website is not secure. Let's find a website really quick that's not secure. Okay, so this is a site that's been closed. So this is a great example. Can you see right up here next to the name, it says not secure. Again, this is new. This is something that Google has only started showing people recently, not secure. And so that's causing some people to freak out. What? Your website isn't secure? Well, this is a really tricky thing because it's not. I wouldn't say your website is not secure. I would say it's not secure. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean that your website is insecure. It doesn't mean that your website is it's got like bots or spam or like it's going to hurt people to use it. It doesn't mean that. It just means that it does not have a security certificate installed and protecting the website in that way. So it's scaring people because all of a sudden the browser's saying not secure on all these websites. It's like, what's that about? That's new. Google just added that, and that's why you're seeing that. But it's becoming more and more important. So I used to recommend that that's something that we only worried about if you were accepting credit card transactions, if you had a member login area, and it wasn't something that you really needed in a normal website. Well, things have changed, and this is something I'm now recommending on all websites. So Kim's saying her WordPress site is now showing this. I know, Kim, it's new, right? And it's kind of frustrating because it can make people say, what? This website isn't secure? How do we fix it? That's Kim's question. Well, there's two pieces to it. There's two things that you're going to need to make this happen. So the first one is involved in your website hosting, and the second piece is on your website itself. Let me take you back to my slideshow here. So these are the two steps, Kim, and anyone else who wants to deal with this. The first step is you want to order the SSL certificate through your website hosting. So if you do your own website hosting or you have your own website hosting account, you need to log in and you need to find an area that's maybe it says secure hosting or add security. And it used to be that this is something that they charged extra for. As little as 5 years ago, this was something that the web host company would charge like at least $100 a year for. And that's something that I would pass on to my clients if we wanted to add that. It's $100 a year plus, pay me some amount of money to set it up for you, $50, $60, I don't know, whatever it was at the time. It's now something I'm automatically including for my websites. So if you start a new website with me or we set up your website hosting right now, it's something that I automatically include in all of my website hosting because it's something that's important. So if you don't already have that, you need to go into your website hosting software, dashboard, panel, control panel, and look for the place to order an SSL certificate. Now, hopefully, it's as easy as you log into the dashboard, you click the button that says add it and set it up, and they'll take care of all of that for you. Hopefully. If there's any other questions or it doesn't look as easy as that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm hoping at this point in time, they've made it as easy as you log in, you find the panel that says secure, you click the button that says add a secure certificate, and they'll take care of all the rest. They order the certificate, they set it up, they install it into your server, they authenticate it, they do all that stuff for you, and within minutes to hours, now your website will work with the S. Do you know what I'm talking about? HTTP. If we look at this, let's go back to the website. I don't know if you'll be able to see this really well, but this is another way you can tell. So if you click right up here at the top of this bar, you're going to see what's not showing it to me. But if I were to copy this out and paste it back in, you would see it's HTTP://. Whereas if we go over here to Ask a Web Geek, you'll see it's HTTPS:// askawebgeek.com. That little S is what means secure, and that's where it will now trigger the secure side. So only after that SSL certificate has been installed and set up will your website resolve to this S, HTTPS, and then it should show this little icon, this little lock icon. Now, sidebar, there's other the website, I've got so much to tell you all at one time. The website is composed of lots of little pieces. So if any of those little pieces are being pulled in from another website or they're manually being told to load in without the S, it's still going to show an error on your site that says some pieces are not secure. That could just be an image, and if you go in there to the image and tell it to load it secure, it'll fix that. Again, see what I mean about the follow-up questions? I try to give you information, and then there's all this extra stuff involved. Let me just step back and say the first step is to order the certificate from your website host. The second step is to force your website to always resolve to the S. You see, once the certificate is installed, your website could technically come up as the S version if someone specifically went to HTTPS, but it could also come up still as the insecure version if they specifically went to HTTP, whatever your website is. So once you've ordered the certificate and it starts working, both are working. So the second piece, let me take you back to my slide. The second piece is to force the S through your website. Now, you're only going to want to do this after you know the S is working, the security is working, and your website comes up as HTTPS. Once you see that happening, then you're ready to force your website to always go to the S. And there's a plugin I recommend that you can use for this in your WordPress site, and you can see it right here on my screen. It's called Really Simple SSL. So the way that you would add that to your WordPress site, Kim, and anyone else listening, is you would go into the plugin area of your website. She's asking about a WordPress website. You go into your backend dashboard, you go into plugins, you click Add New, you click Search, and you start typing. You could just type SSL, and this is the first one that's going to pop up. Rusty, knock it off. I'm doing a show. Really Simple SSL. That's the plugin. You can install it and activate it, and that's going to complete that second step. It's going to force your website to go to that secure page all the time. Now, again, if your website will not resolve to the S yet, you don't want to do this. You only want to do this after you know your website will come up as S. Okay, so that's the 1-2 step. Now, again, a lot of follow-up questions, a lot of details in there that you could want to know more about. So once again, you're going to order the certificate through your host, through your hosting dashboard, and then you're going to set it up on your website to force it to load that S after you know it's working. That's the 1-2 process. Let me know if you have any questions on that, because each one of those little steps could give you a hiccup or could give you a question as you go. How does that sound, studio audience? Any immediate follow-up questions for me on that one? I'm going to let you see this this slide one last time before we move on, and I'm going to take a sip of coffee. So here's the 2 steps to do this.